Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to return again to one of the issues that was raised early on, which is our communities who have very active organizations. In Connecticut, we have a science museum that have longstanding programs, just as we mentioned, the Museum of Science and Industry, which I remember as a child. What sort of outreach is being done right now to these non-governmental organizations who have long records of activity, particularly with the K through 12, to give them a heads up about how the process is going to work going forward? Because we're all getting a lot of questions in our district, a great deal of concern. State budgets are being cut, and suddenly they're hearing through the grapevine that this is going away. So how are you reaching out to them? How can we ensure proper information is being shared?
Well, let me start by mentioning again that the Department of Education will have a major role here through its STEM Innovation Networks, which is a program that under the President's proposal would provide $150 million to school districts to build partnerships with the federal science agencies, with universities, with businesses, with museums. I think because this is relatively new, the extent of the outreach to these various constituencies is up until now not all that extensive. But it will become more so, particularly if this budget is approved. I mean, there is a bit of a chicken and egg problem here. We're still in FY13, and we don't have the reorganization plan in place except in the President's proposed budget. But obviously, that sort of outreach is already starting and would have to be expanded.
All right. If we could turn back to the question about, with the Department of Education taking the lead for K through 12, we know from the work being done on science and certainly from the excitement over decades that NASA has generated in school children and the importance of having practitioners, of having researchers, of having people who do science be engaged with the youngest of our students, not just with graduate students, but with the youngest of our students. How do we contemplate this is going to work? How is NSF and our other major research institutions, NASA, going to share their expertise? Because there's a content there that's important and an excitement level about what real-world science means with the Department of Education, which does not, obviously, they're the practitioners on the pedagogical side. And how is it contemplated we're going to build out this capacity within the Department of Education, as well as sharing that expertise, which admittedly it doesn't have. That hasn't been its mission.
So one thing that the Department of Education does have is reach, an extensive opportunity to connect to states, districts, regions around the country. And so we at NSF are very excited about the partnerships that will evolve. And in fact, that have some precursors in previous work, actually. Our Math and Science Partnership Program has had good partnering activity with the Department over the years, where the kinds of things that NSF invests in, the content that gets developed, the evidence-based practices and tools and learning materials that get developed can then be scaled out in good partnership with the Department, and we're excited about figuring out how that will work well. But I will admit we're at the very beginning stages of this work.
There's a program called the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, which is an after-school program that we are currently partnering with the Department of Education in. We have this Summer of Innovation content that has hands-on experiential activities that could be done inside of 21st Century. So we are currently actively working on a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Education right now to utilize our content in 50 states and 2 territories. So that's one example of how we could start this process of partnering with mission agencies and then the 3 lead agencies to ensure that we get that content out.
And if I may also add my voices to those of Congressman Kennedy and Swalwell on the importance of vocational education being incorporated. I know it wasn't specifically your focus, but it is essential that we have those mid-level skills. It is vital that those get included. For those of us, as I come from an aging industrial manufacturing base of the United States, which now is in that transition phase, it is going to be absolutely vital that we incorporate that and that we incorporate computing as an integral part of this. We've had multiple hearings in this committee on the importance of big data. If we do not incorporate computing as a core part of this, we are really missing an incredibly important opportunity and strategic necessity for this country. Thank
Can
you.
I just say we agree? Thank you.